mix, I'm sorry. It's this delightful mix of clove, and it has, oh my goodness gracious, I want to say that there's chicory root in this also, and then cinnamon, and it smells like a hug. Oh my goodness gracious, this smells so delicious. So I want to start with spoons up. Are you okay with that? Let's start with spoons up, everybody up. Spoons up, you know how we do. Round around is a dreadful show. Back and forth is how we go. From 6 to 12 and back again. Back and forth to stay within. Now, if you can't already grasp how I'm feeling this morning, I'm loving the soothing effect of this. And so what I decided to do was add honey with lemon. And don't get me wrong, you can do whatever you want with your teas. We talk about this quite a bit. We talk about how you can add cream to your teas. You can do simple syrups. You can do, your tea, your rules. Your tea, your choice. But long short of it, in today's tea, I just really wanted to do a honey lemon because it's appropriate for the season, I think. Let's just see. Hold one second. Hold one second. All right, let's see how this goes. That is too delicious. I am loving this far too much. Oh, wow. Yes, this is really what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is really, really good tea. Ah, my goodness gracious. I hope you can all hear me and see me, for those of you who are watching, those who are listening. But yeah, this is a delightful blend, and I am just enjoying the heck out of it. Oh, again, feels like a good hug. It reminds me of a tea that my mother used to make. Okay, it reminds me of a tea that my mother used to make called Russian tea, which I think was actually referred to as friendship tea back in the 70s. And she made it with cloves and a black tea base. And I think that the recipe that it called for back in the day had tang in it. But she made it with orange juice. And again, she passed away quite a few years ago, and I've been wanting to attempt to try to make it myself, but it's a family tradition. And I guess part of me is a little concerned that I'm not going to get it right. So I haven't, put the pot on the stove yet and, got the cloves and the pineapple chunks and so on and so forth. So we have not had Russian tea / friendship tea in a very long while. But what I'm drinking right now is pretty darn close to it. So I really hope that whatever you're sipping on is giving you that hug that you may need today. Again, it's been a little nuts this week, you guys. But before we get started, just a few announcements. First of all, Flannel Fest last week was wonderful. Here in Germantown, as you heard me announce last week, there was Flannel Fest over near Germantown and High Street. And it's an annual event that's hosted by Robbie Long. And again, there's a really good article that was written in the Chestnut Hill Local about it. And I'm telling you, it was great. We had food, we had people, we had music, we had people selling books and people selling clothes. I've been saying clothes like 3 or 4 times. People selling clothes. One person actually made I guess it was something like a coat / jacket out of a flannel shirt. So it wasn't like they took a bunch of blue flannel and just made it very long. You could see that they actually knitted the blue flannel shirts together to make a garment, and it was wonderful. It was just so great. We had local artists. My heart was so full. We had people who sold everything from hair products to candles, to elotes, and oh my goodness gracious, I love me some elote with some corn. Yes, I do. So again, just a shout out to Robbie Long and Seth and Matt Shippen, who of course own Braid Mill, which again, historically, for those of you who don't know, was an actual mill that was later remade into a business space here in the Germantown area. And I'm telling you, I know I go on this over and over again, but I get so giddy when I think about how great Germantown really is, what a hidden gem it is, how much we do here in our area. And last week just made me so happy because there was such a great turnout. I wish I had the number actually, but there were so many people there, and there was just so much great energy. We got a line dance going. Sorry. We got a line dance going at one point. Just a great way to network and connect and just feel that Germantown pride. I was just geeking out the whole time. So for everyone who put Flannel Fest together, thank you so very much. I know I had a good time. I can speak for anyone else, but I had a great time. One other thing I wanted to mention, for those of you who do not know, is I love saying this. Over at the African American Museum here in Philadelphia, down near Old City, Ruth Carter is actually being featured in a collection called Afrofuturism in Costume Design. And again, for those of you who don't know, Ruth Carter has been like I said, actually I can say 2-time Academy Award winning costume designer for film, because she won Academy Awards for Black Panther, where she did the costume design, and she also won for its sequel, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And so they're showcasing a lot of her work. They're also going to show little things like her first sewing machine is going to be there. They're going to showcase things from other movies, not just the Wakanda series, but they're showing her work from Do the Right Thing, where she was the costume designer, and Malcolm X, and even just those movies actually. But again, it's going to be a wonderful time where it actually the exhibit opened up this past Thursday, but it will be featured from Thursday to Sunday every week from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. From November the 6th to September the 6th of 2026. So this is going to be here for a while. So if you're not able to make it before, the holiday season really gets into high gear, it might be something that you want to consider doing in the new year. But again, it's going to be here, this exhibit, for quite a while. You can go to aampmuseum.org. That's AAMP as in Papa, museum.org, to get more information. But my goodness, I saw this and I think she's such an icon. Like I said, she is a 2-time Academy Award winner. And by the way, she is actually the only Black woman in Academy history to win 2 Academy Awards. There have been many costume designers who've won numerous Academy Awards. I immediately think of Edith Head, where if you are familiar with the Incredible series from Disney Pixar, and you see Edna Mode, the short designer of all of the superheroes' uniforms, you see that Edna Mode, that is, who's modeled off of Edith Head, made all of the costumes. And so long short of it, you get like this homage, if you will, to Edith Head through Edna Mode. So Edith Head has won in her lifetime quite a few Academy Awards for costume design. But Ruth E. Carter is the only Black woman to win 2 Academy Awards for costume design. And by the way, shameless plug, if you've not seen the speeches that she's given, I highly recommend doing it, because again, in the crowd for, I can't recall if it's for the first or second Black Panther film, but in the crowd she gives a shout out to Spike Lee, where, like I said, he had to do the costumes for the movie Do the Right Thing, for the Spike Lee joint Do the Right Thing. And so she does say to him, you took a chance on me many, many years ago, and you've not just kept me exclusive, but you've really championed me being a person who uses my talent for costume design. And so she gives a shout out to him. And what I love in both of her Academy Awards speeches is that people will, when they're giving speeches, they'll come up and they will have notes or what have you. And in the first one, she wore this, I want to say, like navy blue long gown. And in the second one, where she won the Academy Award, it was this canary yellow gown. And in both of them, the note cards that she had matched her outfit. I know, that's just me kind of like geeking out, where I can't get over it. So like I said, if this piques your interest, you have quite a bit of time. You have a little, about 10 months or so to really dig deep into this. So it's going to be, again, every Thursday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. From October the 6th, which of course is past because today's the 7th, or the 8th. Sorry about that. You have from October the 6th to September the 6th of 2026 to check out this exhibit. And again, it really is just a great way to drink in history. I'm super excited for it myself. It is something I do definitely want to do. Speaking of drinking, I'm going to take a sip of this tea because golly gee wow, do we have tea? Yes, we do. Okay, let me just tell you what happened on my flavor profile. Oh my word, here's what just happened. I just got that honey lemon combo that you know that I love so much, but it got mixed with that cinnamon chicory root. Oh my word. Okay, yeah, I'm having a tea moment. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Academy Awards, discuss. Oh my goodness, yummy. Ooh, that sings so well, good people. That's such good tea. Again, I know I say this a lot, but I really do hope that when you're listening to Tea with Amber E, you're enjoying some kind of beverage. Would I prefer it was tea? Sure. But if it's coffee, if it's orange juice, if it's some kind of coffee alternative, whatever the case may be, I just hope that in the mornings when you're listening and or watching, you really are indulging in the cozy moment where you can just sit and enjoy, because you get to see me and or hear me do it, and it's like, my goodness gracious, I'm just sharing it with everybody. But yes, the tea is delicious, as it is piping. So, as I said, today is day 39 of the government shutdown. For those of you who were worried, poor choice of words, who were concerned that your vote didn't make a difference, or that voting may not have been impactful, or why vote in this last election, can I just say that I hope that you have enough of an example now why your vote matters, because goodness gracious, was there a turnaround where we have new judges, we have new senators, New York has a new mayor, and Mayor Mamdani, and I don't know if anyone else has seen it, but someone took a parody of the song Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani, where she spells bananas, and made Mamdani a song. His name is Mamdani, M-A-M-D-A-N-I. His name is Mamdani, M-A-M-D-A-N-I. And again, we have new governors in New Jersey. There's just it's so exciting for me, because it's so great to see that democracy is not yielding to what may be considered by some as leaning towards something other than democracy. And I'll leave it at that. And so really, congratulations to the many leaders elected in this past week's election. I could name all the names, but I'm going to challenge you guys as a lifelong educator to do your due diligence, look up who you elected in the office. I will say that I am very intrigued to see how, now that there's this new zest. Oh, I almost knocked my tea over. See how excited I am? There's this there's this new zest for hope and change. I would say maybe circa 2008 we saw something very similar. How we're going to roll with that, how Americans are going to run with that, how the dialogue is going to expand, especially considering that the holidays are coming up, and I know that people are kind of notorious for sitting at tables and speaking their minds and what have yous. And so, my goodness, I'm so excited to see what happens. Again, in Mayor Mamdani's case, Mayor Mamdani, that's so darn cool. He's a millennial. He's in my age bracket, and so it's really cool to see him. There's a video, I want to say it's on Insta, where the DJ that he is celebrating with is playing a New York State of Mind by, I said New York State of Mind, I'm so sorry. New York State of Mind is by Billy Joel. I'm thinking of the Empire State of Mind. Sorry about that. So not New York State of Mind by Billy Joel, Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. And you're just seeing him have a party, because my goodness, I'm just... New blood, new energy. Let's bridge the gaps, so on and so forth. Also, I just wanted to mention that there are some people who are stepping away from office after serving for a long time. And, when you see people leave, especially if they've been serving in a political space for 40 years as a public servant, whether you agree with their policies or not, it takes a lot of not just courage, but it takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of intelligence, and it takes a lot of humility, I would say, to be able to serve people in that capacity for a long time. And so to see these turnovers is so inspiring, because you're seeing people coming in, people going out. But what I really hope we do, and I'll take it back to Flannel Fest this last Saturday, is we make sure that those generation gaps don't get broken, and that people continue to stay connected and continue to strengthen one another. I just really am encouraging us to continue to keep our ear to the wall and to the ground, so that you really are hearing what's going on. One thing I saw in the news that really made me very sad is that the Dallas Cowboys player Marshawn Kneeland passed away this week. of their own hand after getting their very first touchdown this past Monday, and in reading quite a few articles about it. I know that someone had mentioned that there was a pursuit from the police, there were texts from his girlfriend, so on and so forth, and how it was very clear. Well, allegedly it was stated outright what was happening. And it just kind of broke my heart to see it. And one thing I noticed was that 2 months before being selected by the Dallas Cowboys, his mother had passed away. And I think, and everyone grieves differently. I clearly understand that. But I know that when someone's heart is broken and they have a smile on their face, that's when communities need to come together. It's not always easy to ask someone how you're doing. It's especially not easy for someone to always answer honestly. We rarely say what we mean. That's why communicators sometimes need to elaborate on what they think and how they feel and go back and make it right. And so especially when someone is grieving, it can be very difficult to say I'm not okay. And here I guess I know I can only speak for myself. It's sometimes it can feel like, if I keep telling you that I'm not having a good day, am I becoming a burden? Or do you really understand how I feel? And so on and so forth. I just want to say that my heart goes out to him and his family, because that's a really hard position to be in. And again, his team is grieving, Cowboys fans are grieving, and it just really does break my heart. But I always bring it back to community. And so, especially while thankfully, especially here in Pennsylvania, as I mentioned last week, Governor Shapiro is funding, he is funding a lot of food banks in the area, and of course, there is some funding going towards food stamp benefits. There's still, especially as we get closer to Thanksgiving, I'm just gonna be real for a second. There's still that feeling of what can I do? What can't I do to celebrate this time of year? It can become very unnerving when you can't provide for those that you love the way that you want to provide for those that you love. It can become, you can feel a little helpless. And of course, what I find quite ironic is that those who may not be seeing these situations where it's affecting real people in an empathetic and or sympathetic way, it's like, well, why don't you just kind of figure it out on your own? Or why don't you go knock on the doors for some people or find a food bank? Again, it just kind of makes, it really does show how polarizing things like healthcare and eating can be, and getting the sources they're in for people. And so now really is a time to maybe connect with neighbors or whatever makes you comfortable. I get that this can be a very delicate topic and or situation. But again, it's so easy to grieve when you don't have enough. It's so easy to grieve when you can't express how you really feel. It can even make that expand when you're hurting, and not be able to express it, so that it becomes something that it turns more into an internal struggle where things unfortunately like this may happen. So we hear it a lot in this era of really putting emphasis on mental health, but make sure that you reach out to people who are struggling with loss, especially recently. Check on your neighbors, check on your cousins, check on your friends, especially the ones who may be very upbeat and extroverted and optimistic, and still may have something that they can't talk about, especially if they're used to being quote unquote on for others. So really, I just want to put that encouragement out there for you to consider. Also, another thing to consider for the holidays is how so many flights are being cut by the Federal Aviation Administration, because there were cuts at the beginning of the year. Let's not forget about that. There now have been, as of yesterday, there was a report that 40 United States airports will be cut during the season because of air safety. The less people they have working, be that as air traffic controllers or just on staff, they have to make sure that all the bases are covered. So they have to, they have to minimize. And again, this is going to reduce air traffic by 10% across 40 high volume markets to maintain safety. This is not something to take lightly, because here's, when I heard about this, one thing I thought about was the business aspect of airports, of airlines, because now again, during the Thanksgiving holidays specifically, people travel during that time more than anything. And so the question becomes, if you're having to now reduce air traffic by 10% and people aren't able to fly, or they're going to have very, 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 very long lines to be able to get from point A to point B, the question now becomes, how is this going to hurt your bottom line? So when people say, oh, well, that doesn't affect me directly, so it doesn't affect me at all. Oh, no, everything in business is going to affect you in some way or another. Maybe not right away. Maybe not immediately, but it is going to affect you at some point. It might be a delayed reaction. And so long short of it, there are so many things that this shutdown is affecting. It's affecting our food. It's affecting our travel. It's affecting for some people, it's affecting their hope. And it can be so unnerving to see people become desperate when their hope feels dashed. And so I know that it's hard, it's easier said than done to reach out to others, to become very involved in what you're seeing or doing, even if it means, again, it might mean making a, how do I say this? Giving the best of yourself as you see fit to do so as the holidays come up. And again, for a lot of people during the holidays, there's a sense of loss because of lost loved ones. There's a sense of loss because you aren't able to provide. And that can be something that you see as normal during times when we don't have a government shutdown. Now we do. We now have people who've been furloughed from their jobs. You have people who don't have the money to pay for Thanksgiving dinner, or won't be able to make sure that they get the health care they need so that they'll be able to enjoy that time with their families. This is stuff that, if you're removed from it, it can seem like, oh, that's outside of my sphere of influence. But the truth of the matter is, if you are living in this country right now, it's within your sphere of influence. And what you do with it is what you do with it. And so I just really do want to send out my love and send out my light and report on what's happening, so that it can't be said that we don't know. There are people who've been interviewed on TV shows across different political lines where they're sharing their opinions. And it's like, whoa, if we're connecting like this, then people are really, then you can kind of hear you can hear the steps creaking, where we're trying to be discreet in some ways, but there are some folk who are going to come down those steps, and you're going to hear the coming, or you're going to hear the stomping, because people are really beginning to feel a certain way about what's happening in our world, and they are not hiding behind the facade of being politically correct anymore. And while it could seem like something that makes you uncomfortable, look, the earth is groaning. Let's just call it what it is. And so again, not to just overemphasize my point, but I just do want to make sure that we all know of at least one person that we can connect with, be that over tea. Have you even considered inviting someone to Thanksgiving dinner this year? I know that's not for everybody, but it might be something that you may want to consider. It might be that you put yourself out there to, if you have more resources, maybe donate to a food bank, or even see what resources are in your area that if you have plenty, you may be able to give. I have a friend from my high school days, actually, over 20 some years ago. I'm sorry, almost 20 years ago, who they were donating spices, because people will give canned goods and they'll give, non-perishables and so on and so forth. But what they found was that when you go to some food banks, people forget about spices. Are you donating salt? Are you donating, the holy trinity of lemon pepper, Italian seasoning, and Sardis seasoned salt? Like, what are you doing? Just when I saw that, I thought, I had not considered donating spices, but that is something that people are going to need in this holiday season, because I mean, a bland turkey is a sad turkey. Let's just call it what it is. So I'm just putting that gentle push out there for all of us to think about what we really can do in this time of Thanksgiving. And as the holidays get closer and closer, what we can do to protect our mental health, and especially our physical health. Because again, if you can't take care of yourself, it's really hard to take care of others. And I know that sometimes there's a nobility in putting ourselves last, like I'm just going to give and give and give and give and give. But unfortunately, sometimes when you're running on empty and you don't realize it, you may crash. And the last thing that we need during the holidays, where there really is this feeling for so many of hopelessness and lack of answers, and feeling the burn of the government shutdown not ending yet. Again, tomorrow is going to be 40 days. That's over. That's a month and some change of the government shutdown. These moments of uncertainty, things of that nature. What do we do? How do we figure these things out? Who do we call? What phone numbers do we look at? What outlets do we listen to? How do we make sure that we don't become so attached to what's happening for the sake of information that we forget that we also have to take a woosah sometimes and step back and remember that you do have to take care of your mind and your heart, especially if during this time of year for some of us we're remembering those that we've lost. So this is kind of twofold. It goes both ways. It's both remember that you're not alone. Remember that there are people in your world who do love and care about you, who definitely want to be a listening ear for you. And also remember that there may be people who seem like they have it all together and that you may not necessarily think on to check on, but it might be good to remember that you need to be that person who reaches out to them because they seem like they're all right and they may not be okay. It's easier said than done. We try to be very careful about how we help others. What's the politically correct thing to say in this season? It might be time to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm just saying, it might be time to not necessarily become rude, but to protect people at all costs, because sometimes you have to put the Band-Aid off to get the point across. And so those are some of the thoughts that I want to leave you with on this lovely Saturday morning here in Tea with Amber E. I'm going to, drink the rest of this. And quite frankly, I'm probably going to savor the rest of this. This tea is so delightful. Next tea is a Black Tea Week, you guys. Don't forget. Leave in the comments what your favorite black tea is. Every black tea isn't made equally. We have our Lady Greys. We have our Cream Earl Greys. We have our Scottish breakfast. We have our Paris breakfast, which has a lovely French vanilla aftertaste to it. We have our Irish breakfast. You get the idea of what I'm trying to say. So I'd love to hear what you do on your Saturday mornings with your black teas, because, again, we only do harvest teas every other week or things along that nature. So I really do hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you stay warm. I hope you stay cozy. I hope that you say what you need to say to those that you love. And I hope that you keep the tea piping, because remember, I've got you. We're going to be okay. You've got this, you little sunbeam. Ain't nobody like you. And you're going to be all right. Shout out to all of my listeners. I kept thinking, who's going to shout out today? To all of y'all. Love and light. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.